Alright, yeah, how's it going, guys? And welcome back on into some more Magic Arena. We're back once more with a very special tri-monthly pack opening. Core 19 has finally been released, a little late on the bandwagon. It did come out yesterday, but this is the first chance I've had to record this episode. So, as is tradition, I've bought 20,000 gems, and we're going to go into the store, and we're going to pick up 90 wonderful packs of this new set, which actually comes with 2 Nexus of Fates, which is going to save me 2 Mythic wildcards, because I planned on making those at some point with a fun little deck of sorts. So we're actually going to purchase those. It leaves me the 2,000 gems left over. 6-9. But yeah, we've got 90 packs to open. We've also got a new wildcard system as well, so I'm curious to see how this one pans out for those who want to keep track of how much I've gained in terms of wildcards. I've got 4 mythics, 7 rares, 134 uncommons, and 142 commons. So, as far as cards that I want to see in this set, I think there's far too many, really. Other than the Planeswalkers, which includes Nicol Bolas's creature flip dude. I would love to see Apex of Power, Omniscience. There is the new Take an Extra Turn wand, or whatever it's called, rod. I don't remember the name of it, but there is that I want to see. Oh god, this is just so much. So much. But without further ado, let's get into it, and I'll name these things off as I see them. So I haven't seen too much of this set, although I've seen a little bit of the rares and mythics. I will at some point be doing a draft of this set as well, because it looks pretty cool, but probably not the competitive draft, because I don't really like putting gems into a draft, specifically if it doesn't allow gold in its purchase. Izareth the Awakener, 1/2 black for a 3/3 legendary creature with Death Touch. When Izareth the Awakener attacks, you may pay X. When you do, return target creature card with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield with a corpse counter on it. If that creature would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Oh yeah, this card's interesting because that corpse counter, there's no mention of why that matters. So I'm wondering if there might be a future set, or if it's just maybe a reminder that that creature needs exiling when it dies. I'm not quite sure. I don't think any other cards have really had a reminder counter before, so who knows? I'm pretty sure nothing else in the set anyway mentions corpse counters, but yeah, nice reanimator theme in this set, which is cool. Don't think it's constructed playable, but who knows? Maybe it'll be a mana burn series. Let's continue, shall we? Some lovely wildcards. I should mention that this wildcard system as well, basically every time you open up a pack, it ticks up one of these every single time. Once you hit this limit, it gives you the wildcard that's in the center. So if I open up 4 more packs, I will get myself a rare wildcard. This is basically to replace the vault, so it should be outputting as much as the vault, if not just slightly more. And I think it pumps out more rares than it does mythics as well, which is always what you want, because the rare bottleneck is horrendous. Suspicious Bookcase, Wall Tribal, here we come. Our rare is Banefire. Yep, that was one of my anticipated ones. That is a wonderful win condition, and I do have a deck for this in mind. So it was one that I was going to showcase a while ago, but now that Banefire's come out, it's going to be a little bit better. Next pack. Mind Rock gets a reprint, Enigma Drake gets a reprint. Love it. Just got ourselves an uncommon wildcard, and our rare, yeah, Nicol Bolas the Ravager. 1, a blue, a black, a red for a 4/4 flying legendary creature. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. And then you can pay the traditional Nicol Bolas 7 with Grixis mana to exile the creature and return him to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control. And he becomes one of the more powerful Nicol Bolases to ever be printed. I don't think he's the most powerful, but he's certainly the most in standard anyway. 7 loyalty, ticks up 2 to draw 2 cards. The -3 will kill virtually anything, including planeswalkers as well. The -4 is another reanimator theme as well. Puts a creature or planeswalker card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So you could really work around this and even put one of your own creatures or planeswalkers in if you really wanted to try it like that. And the -12 is actually a decent win condition as well. Exile all but the bottom card of target player's library, so it's a way to just mill them out completely. I think Nicol Bolas on his creature side is pretty good as he stands. 4/4 flyer for 4 is, you know, the benchmark, and then when he enters he discards. It's pretty good. Removes answers from your opponent's hand. It kind of demands a 2/1 in that kind of sense, because they lose a card, but then they also have to use a removal spell, so you get some sweet, sweet value. I love this creature. He's great. Other than that, nothing too interesting in here. Let's keep going. Alright, Gift of Paradise, got a reprint. Nothing else of interest in here. Prodigious Growth, 4 and 2 green for an enchantment that gives +7/+7 and trample. This is busted in draft and limited in general. Not so much in constructed, unfortunately, but that is why it's got the rare tag, we'll call it. Let's keep going, shall we? 2 more wildcards in exactly the same spot. Diagraph Ghoul, because zombies are now a thing in this set. And Hungering Hydra. Now, you are good, aren't you? X and a green for a Hydra creature, 0/0, enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, which is however much you've paid for it. Can't be blocked by more than one creature, so it's very hard to trade in combat with this thing. And when it's dealt damage, which eventually it'll be forced into doing, put that many X +1/+1 counters on it. So every bit of damage that you do to this creature just gets added to it. It's kind of like, is it Brawn? Something like that? There was a creature that did that kind of thing. It doubled counters that were on it or something like that. Along that sort. Really cool card anyway. Hungering Hydra. Probably see a little bit of play maybe in a green deck or two. I don't know. We'll see. I'll certainly play it at some point, I'd imagine. Is it tier 1? Probably not. There goes our rare wildcard. So that should reset and go for another rare, I think. Rupture Spire enters tapped. When it enters, sacrifice it unless you pay 1, and then it's a 5-colour land. Ooh, 2-headed zombie. That's cool. I like that. Our rare is Phylactery Lich. 3 black for a 5/5 indestructible. Where is our Shrine to Nyx? Where is our Devotion? Because there's a lot of Devotion cards being set up here, and I feel like it might be a thing. 5/5 indestructible. When it enters the battlefield, put a counter on an artifact you control. When you control no permanents with counters on them, sacrifice it. So you need, in order to get this Lich out on turn 3, you need an artifact out on turn 1 or turn 2, which is not too hard. You know, this like Traveler's Amulet and Renegade map, you can stick them on, which is easy enough to be used. And if that artifact would be destroyed, that's something that you could cheaply sack in response to at least gain a little bit of value back. So it's kind of a cool card. Maybe Mono Black Control might find a use for it if they feel like running some artifacts. Other than that, not sure about that one. Shield Mare, are you a good mare? Horse Tribal is a thing, by the way. 1 and 2 white for a 2/3. Can't be blocked by red creatures. Fair enough. When it enters the battlefield or becomes the target of a spell and ability controls, you gain 3 life. So it has a trade-off. If they lightning strike it, you gain 3 life. Sure. It's fine, I guess. I don't think it's constructed playable, but we can still play it all the same. Alright. We've actually ticked up to the Mythic this time. Blood Divination, sacrifice a creature, draw 3 cards. Pretty cool. Other than that, nothing too crazy in here. Open the Graves. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the field. Is there combo potential for this? Quite possibly. I can think of one thing. If you can get a free sack outlet with something like your Henny and have a way of recurring something out of your graveyard, like the vampire that comes back from your graveyard if you've gained life that turn. If you can keep replaying those over and over and over again, you could keep sacking it to gain some zombies. That's it's reasonable. I might try something with it. I don't think it's broken, busted by any means, but you know, can have some fun all the same. Double cast. Yeah. Next time you cast the next instant or sorcery spell, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Same set as Banefire, just saying. Our rare is Lathless Dragon Queen. 4 and 2 red for a 6/6 flyer, so it's on the bang average already. Whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. Be good in singleton. I don't think it's good in standard constructed at all. Dragons you control get +1/+0 until the end of the turn. I suppose you could do like what's it called? Arcane Adaptation and just name dragon. That'd be interesting. Oh yes. Oh, I'm all over that, guys. I am all over that. Play Lathlis with Arcane Adaptation named dragon already on the field and then spam Ornithopters. Yes. Oh yeah. Oh boy. This is why I like these pack openings, because I just look at these cards and I'm like, how am I going to break them in a meaningful way? Hieromancer's Cage, 4 and a white enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. Strictly worse, cast out an Ixalan's Binding. Okay. But if you need more of those effects, sure, go ahead. Blanchwood Armor, mono green, eat your heart out. Also, mill is a thing, and you best bet that I'll be making a mill deck. Psychic Corrosion is 2 and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent puts the top 2 cards of their library into the graveyard. The cogs are turning. We can make this work. Is it the most broken mill card in the world? No. Millstone, I'm waiting on you, buddy. Ooh, Resplendent Angel. Really good with our Baneslayer Angel. You know, Lyra. Lady Lyra. 1 and 2 white for a 3/3 with flying, so it's fine already. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain 5 or more life this turn, gain a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance as well. It makes a Sarah Angel. That's pretty sweet. So, if you're playing this with Lyra, you've already got that 5 life gain pretty much ticked off. And if you can do that, then Lyra creates effectively 5/5s with Flying Vigilance and Lifelink, which would then trigger her again. Resplendent Angel is going to be interesting. Angel Tribal is going to be interesting. Also, you can pay 6 as well to give it +2/+2 and Lifelink, which actually ticks off the box right there as well. Didn't even notice that bit at the bottom there. There's also Dwarven Priest. I don't know how playable you are. You're probably interested in limited anyway. Hence the battlefield, you gain 1 life for each creature control. Maybe a Flicker deck. There's a few Flicker cards in Standard. That could be interesting. Also, Panamonicon is still in Standard as well. Broken in Limited. Pretty sweet. Pick this every time. Our rare is Patient Rebuilding. Speaking of mill, 3 and 2 blue for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent puts the top 3 cards of their library into the graveyard. Then you draw a card for each land put into that graveyard this way. So, looking at the top 3 cards, you know, 40% of the deck is usually mana from your opponent. So on average, this should be drawing you 1 card every single turn. So it's a 5 mana mill 3 every turn and draw an extra card to draw you more mill. So this is actually a pretty solid card. I don't know if you run the full playset of it because it is 5 mana and that's quite expensive. But still, you definitely will be seeing this included in a mill deck, I would think. Other than that, nothing too crazy in here. -3/-3 for 4 on Strangling Spores. Actually, you know what? I think that might actually be quite playable. I think there's a lot of 2 and 3 toughness creatures in Limited for this set. This new set will tell me, yep, look, 2/1, 3/1, 1/1, 0/3, all would die to that Spores, so that's a pretty solid card. Rogue's Gloves. When a creature deals damage to a player, you may draw a card. Not too bad at all. Maybe even put it in the mill deck if you've got a creature synergy in there or something like that. Djinn of Wishes is our rare. 3 and 2 blue. Flying 4/4. Enters the battlefield with 3 wish counters on it. You can pay 2 and 2 blue to remove a wish counter from Djinn of Wishes. Reveal the top card of your library. You may play that card without paying its mana cost. And if you don't, exile it. There's no way to set up the top card of your deck, really, is there, in Standard at the moment? What you could do, I suppose, is play cards that would allow you to look at the top card of your library. So, Vizier of the Menagerie comes to mind, but there is also one that allows you to cast instants and sorceries whose name escapes me. I think it was in Dominaria. That one would probably be the more playable one in a Djinn of Wishes deck. But if you could pay 4 and put Omniscience into play. Yeah. That's the meme dream right there. Anyway, let's move on. Ghost form. Up to 2 creatures can't be blocked this turn. Nice, nice. And you're an illusion that claims to be a spirit, aren't you? 1 and a blue for a 2/2. When it becomes the target of a spell, sacrifice it. There's your illusion right there. Can't be blocked except for by spirits, so it's a 2/2 unblockable 90% of the time. And pay 3 and a blue for another creature. Can't be blocked except for ice spirits. Yeah. It's probably limited playable, not so much standard. There's the Scepter 1 thing I was on about. Magistrate's Scepter is a 3-mana artifact. You can pay 4 to tap it and put a charge counter on the Scepter. And why would you do that, you ask? Well, if you tap it, you get to remove 3 counters from it and take an extra turn after this one. So if you don't want to break this card, every single 3 turns that you've invested 4 mana into it, you get to take an extra turn. So an extra turn every 3 turns is already pretty good as it stands. It does open itself up to artifact removal though, so you do need to do something interesting with it, like breaking it. And there's a lot of things in Standard right now that untap artifacts. Something like Paradox Engine as it currently stands. Yeah, Paradox Engine with enough mana rocks to pay the 4 every time and you get infinite turns. Or at least enough turns to untap and continue comboing off. I'm going to be working around this one. There's also cards that put counters on things as well. Winding Constrictor puts extra counters on, but there's also a blue flyer as well. When it deals damage, you get to add counters to things. So that would allow you to break Scepter a little bit, putting 2 counters on a turn or something like that. Just making sure that you don't remove all the counters would be a way to break that. I'll see what I can do. Alright, double cast, we get another one of those. It's very nice to see. I like Shocks to be getting a reprint as well. Wall of Mist is a pretty sweet card in the new Defender deck that I'll be making. Lena, Selfless Champion. I don't know about this one actually. 4 and 2 white for a 3/3 legendary creature. When it enters the battlefield, create 1/1 white soldier creature token for each non-token creature you control. There is Mentor of the Meek in this format, so she could, in theory, very unlikely though because she is expensive at 6, but in theory she could generate you a lot of 1/1s which you could then pay 1 to draw cards with. Be interesting. I think there's a singleton deck waiting to be made because Lena would get you loads of tokens. You've got Mentor of the Meek to draw you loads of cards, and then you've got the newest arena only Mentor of the Meek, which doesn't have a charge on it, but it's about 5 mana, I think, 5 or 6 mana. Very unplayable in Constructed, but I think in Singleton or Brawl it could see some play. But yeah, sacrifice Lena, creature you control with power less than Lena's power, gain indestructible until the end of the turn. So actually she protects you from a board wipe as well, which is really nice. Really nice. Yeah, Singleton deck coming through. Nothing too crazy in here. I'm really glad to see Anticipate getting a reprint. I love this card. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 into your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. There was it Telling Time? That puts 1 in your hand, 1 on top, 1 on bottom. If they'd have reprinted that, oh my god, so many Omniscience would be cheated into play, I tell you now. And we got another Phylactery Lich, so we'll move along. Lightning Strike and Murder getting a reprint. I like Murder getting a reprint, that's cool. And we got ourselves another Lena. Alright, nothing to see here. As we get further into these packs, I will be speeding up, because obviously we'll be seeing a lot of what we've seen before. Rare Wildcard, very nice. Yeah, you don't just get rare wildcards from this, but mostly I think they want you to get them from here. Nothing too interesting there. Transmogrifying Wand. So this is another charge counter thing as well. We could make charge counter tribal. That'd be interesting. 3 mana, enters the battlefield with 3 charge counters on it. You can pay 1 to tap it. So immediately it's a 4 mana kind of removal spell. Remove a charge counter from Transmogrifying Wand. Destroy target creature. Its controller creates a 2/4 white ox creature token. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. So what's interesting about this particular card is usually this kind of effect would exile the creature, because it's exiling what it used to be and pretending it's going to be the 2/4 white ox creature token. So destroying it has some interesting applications, I would say. It's kind of a big negative, really, as far as this card's concerned, but I think it's still playable all the same. Maybe not constructed, but yeah, as I said, if you can exploit those charge counters, you could do some fun stuff. Goblin Instigator as well. Goblins. I don't think Goblins is quite a thing, but I really wish it was. But yeah, 2 mana 1/1 that creates another 1/1. That's 2 Goblins on the field. They really do want to be doing a hell of a lot of swarming, do the Goblins, so it's a pretty sweet card. Wall of Vines, Defenders, here we go. Alright, got another rare wild card. We got Cancel's getting a reprint, goody. Duress, another reprint. Vivian's Invocation, meh on that one. 7 mana, 5 and 2 green for a sorcery speed. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. When a creature is put onto the battlefield this way, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. I don't think there are good enough creatures to justify playing Vivian's Invocation. Sure, you've got your Golters and now your Gigantosaur, I think it's called, the 10/10 for 5 or whatever it is, 5 green. But I don't know. I think you need, to run this, you need something really broken, you know, like an Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. That kind of broken level, big creature. I really wish we had a creature to ramp into, but yeah, I just think that the current big creatures are a little underwhelming at the moment. Doesn't mean that they're bad, they're just underwhelming by my standards. Heroic Reinforcements, 2 a red and a white, 4 mana, sorcery speed. Create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens until the end of the turn. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and haste. So actually it creates, on the turn that you play it, 4 power for 4 mana and gives everything else haste. So it's fine, I guess. There's probably a Boros aggro deck that can run this. I don't think it's amazing. It's probably pretty good in limited, but yeah, other than that, nothing too exciting here. Alright, nothing of note there, but we do get the Goblin Trashmaster. There's our Goblin Lord from Core 19. 2 and 2 red for a 3/3. Other goblins you control get +1/+1, and you can sacrifice any goblin to destroy an artifact as well. Good sideboard tech if you are running a lot of goblins, I guess. You can also mainboard him in goblin decks, but 4 mana is quite the price tag, unfortunately. I really wish this had been 3 mana for a 3/3. I think it would be pretty busted, but it's not exactly, you know, busted in anything except for goblins, and I think the rest of the goblins in the format aren't that overpowered to begin with, other than ye old whirly boy, but, you know. Alright. Mythic Wildcard, okay, nothing too crazy in here either. Let's move along. 69 packs left, nice to see. Diamond Mare. There is a life gain theme in this set as well. We've got Ajani's Pride Mate and things like that. So Diamond Mare could name white. So whenever you cast a white card of any type, you gain 1 life, which would trigger the Pride Mate. Lots of things like that. Prodigious Growth is the last rare I wanted to see. Nothing too crazy here. The Skilled Animator that turns an artifact into a 5/5. I had this used against me yesterday. It wasn't too broken, unfortunately. Doesn't really do anything crazy. Elvish Clan Caller. So this is our Elf Lord. It's pretty okay, I guess. It dies to Chain Whirler, but I don't honestly... that goes around a lot, dies to Chain Whirler. I haven't seen much Chain Whirler recently. I think red decks are falling out of favour a little bit. Obviously, blue-white boring control is very much in full effect right now, but, you know. 2 green for a 1/1. Other elves you control get +1/+1. Yet again, it's an Elf Lord for a set full of elves that aren't too overwhelmingly powerful. But you also get a special ability on this particular one, 4 and 2 green, to tap it to search your library for another Elvish Clan Caller and put it onto the battlefield. If it was in hand, that would be terrible, but no. You can actually pay 6 to essentially give everything +1 and get it out of Whirly Boy's range. Dragon Egg, oh boy. Some sack fodder. And Vivictus Asmadi the Dire. 3 black, red, and a green Jund Dragon. 6/6 for 6 with flying legendary. When it enters the battlefield, when it attacks, sorry, for each player, choose target permanent that player controls. Those players sacrifice those permanents. Each player who sacrifices a permanent this way reveals the top card of their library. Put it onto the battlefield if it's a permanent card. So, Dragon Egg is good for us to sack. As far as our opponents sacking anything, though, we could just hit their biggest thing, but we pretty much risk giving them back a really, really big thing. So it's very much a chaos card. I do like chaos cards, but it's very much not constructed playable if you care about winning. Other than that, nothing too crazy. Let's carry on. Dreadmaw got its 17th reprint. I suppose that's of note. We got another rare. Nice. Liliana's Contract. 3 mana and double black enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you draw 4 cards and lose 4 life. That is completely fine for 5 mana. The beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons with different names, you win the game. So if you want to break this card, there is a wonderful little blue card called Arcane Adaptation. You name Demon, and then all of your creatures are now demons. So all you have to do is have 4 separate creatures on the board and you win. I love, 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 love cards that have alternative win conditions. I think that's one of the best parts about Magic the Gathering. So seeing Liliana's Contract and seeing a win condition that's so easy to obtain. Well, I say easy to obtain. Like this, there's a really clear path to take with Liliana's Contract, you know. Turn 3, you get yourself your Arcane Adaptation. Hopefully you've got 2 creatures on the board by turn 5 or something like that. And you end up getting your 4 very quickly on. It's a very nice contract. I like it. Militia Bugler, very good for white weenie decks and things like that. 2/3 Vigilance for 3. When it enters the battlefield, you look at the top 4 cards of your library. Reveal a creature card with power 2 or less from among them. Put it into your hand. The rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So you want to be doing power 2 or less tribal with Militia Bugler. And that's kind of also where Mentor of the Meek comes in. He actually triggers off of 2 or less. Should be noted that there are some lords as well. Angel of Invention is a 2/1 flyer, so you know it can pick up yourself a lord that way as well. It's pretty cool. Other than that, nothing to see here. Move along. Another Rupture Spire. This hand looks very familiar. Hey, Crucible of Worlds. That's another one of my anticipated cards from this set, so really glad to see this card. Crucible of Worlds is 3 mana artifact. You may play land cards from your graveyard. So it's essentially a colourless Ramanat Excavator who would allow you to do that. So you want to get yourself pretty much like things like Scape Shift, things that destroy your opponent's lands that might be land-based, like Field of Ruin. You can keep replaying those. What you want, though, is extra land drops per turn as well. So there is the Sword Tooth, the 3 mana 5/5 that has Ascend but allows you to play extra land drops. Crucible of Worlds would be really nice with that. If you get Evolving Wilds, crack it. Play Crucible of Worlds with the Sword Tooth on. You can crack your Evolving Wilds, play your Evolving Wilds, and crack your Evolving Wilds. And that's pretty good ramp right there. Crucible of Worlds is solid though. I love it. Just give me a Strip Mine. Let's go. Strip Mine in Standard. That'd be fun. Lathlis, okay. Should note that this is a dragon-themed mana dork as well, in the colours of dragons, which is quite cool. And you can sack it later down the line when it's no longer relevant to create yourself a flying 5/5 dragon as well, which is kind of cool. I like it. Okay, Fiery Finish. 7 damage to target creature. I guess that's fine in Limited. It's okay. Cleansing Nova. Alright, because Fumigate's going to rotate out soon, so Cleansing Nova is pretty much the replacement. And in some ways it's better, in some ways it's worse. Like Fumigate, I'm going to miss the life gain that you get off of it, because in Control, that's how they usually like to stabilize, you know, against aggro decks. Destroy all of your creatures and gain life for all of them. You get so much value back from that. Cleansing Nova, however, does have also its own upside, because in addition to being able to destroy all creatures, you can also choose to destroy all artifacts and enchantments as well, which is something that White could do for the most part pretty easily already, but having it on a board wipe seems fine. I'd expect this to see a lot of play once Fumigate rotates out. Gravedigger is fine. Wall of Vines, talked about that. Infernal Reckoning, very good in non-standard formats and non-limited standard formats. Exile, target colourless creature. You gain life equal to its power for 1 black at an instant. There's just nothing really in standard that this hits, and I don't think there's any reason to sideboard it, but if you go into like Legacy and things like that, then there's a lot of colourless creatures being thrown about. So yeah, Infernal Reckoning, it's pretty solid there, but not quite for us. Not all cards are printed for Standard and Standard Limited, unfortunately. Mentor of the Meek, we've spoken about you a fair bit, but we've not seen you yet. 2 and a white for a 2/2. Whenever a creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. This is white's way of maintaining card advantage if you're going with a creature-focused deck. If you use like a Ketra's Monument whenever you play a creature, with cost reduced, mind you, you get to pay 1 to draw a card, so that cost reduction, you can sink it right back into a Mentor of the Meek to keep drawing cards, keep maintaining a lot of cards in your hand, which is something that, if you're playing an aggressive deck, usually that's something that you'd really, really hope to have. Moving on. Damn, we're at 60 packs. I need to speed up. Meteor Golem, sure, fine in limited, not so fine everywhere else. Leonin War Leader, another one of my anticipated cards. 2 and 2 white for a 4/4, so it's pretty good on average. When it attacks, you get to create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink that are tapped and attacking. So it's like Brimaz in its own way. Is he arguably worse? I think he's definitely worse. You know, Brimaz is vigilant and also creates cat tokens on the block, but he only creates 1. So there is that. And does he create... He creates vigilant cat tokens, doesn't he? Not lifelink cat tokens. But Brimaz isn't in standard, so that's fine. Leonin War Leader, I'm sure we'll see some play. I don't know if he's tier 1 or anything, but he's nice. I like him. Alright, Reliquary Tower. Love to see you. There's lots of decks where I wish I had you. Root Snare. Ah, Root Snare. 1 and a green, instant speed. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. Hello, Fog. Do you know how many Fogs are in standard right now? Yeah, Turbo Fog incoming. Demon of Catastrophes. 2 and 2 black for a 6/6. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. It's also flying and trample for 4 mana. Put him in your Saproling decks. You always have a Saproling by turn 4, and sacrificing a 1/1 to get a 4 mana 6/6 flying trample down is pretty sweet. So yeah, if you're playing Saprolings, this is one of your top end beautiful cards. Nice combo with what's his face as well that drains when Saprolings die. So something to be aware of there. Is it a recurring aura? It's +1/+1 and trample for 2 mana, and then you can pay 3 to return it from your graveyard to your hand. Probably good in limited if you're in a green deck. I don't know how good green is in limited right now, but it has a lot of big creatures that could really do with having trample. So, you know, Stitcher's Supplier. 1 black mana for a 1/1 when it enters the battlefield or dies. Put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Really good for Godfarer's Gift decks. Other than that, not much to say about this. I mean, there's no Laboratory Maniac, as much as I really wish there was, because I could build a Lab Maniac deck with this current card pool. So, Wizards, if you're listening, I'd like Tolarian Scholar to be the Lab Maniac, if you don't mind. Bone Dragon, 5 mana, 3 and 2 black for a 5/4 flying dragon. Pay 5, exile 7 or other cards from your graveyard and return it to the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Meh. It's probably fine in maybe limited. I don't know. He's okay, I guess. He's okay. Getting 7 cards in your graveyard's not terribly difficult, but at the same time, it's not terribly easy either. Death Baron. Yay, Zombie Lord. I love this card as well. This card was in, I think it was Duels of the Planeswalkers 2014, and I love that game, and I love the zombie deck in it. Was it 2014? Or was it 2013? Either way, Death Baron, solid. 1 and 2 black for a 2/2, gives skeletons and other zombie creatures you control +1/+1, and Death Touch. So it makes them very hard. It's practically unblockable until the late game when they're forced to just throw their 5/5s into your 2/2s. It's pretty great. Switcheroo. Memes abound. Let's go. Fraying Omnipotence. Omnipotence, sorry. 3 and 2 black, sorcery speed. Each player loses half their life, then discards half the cards in their hand, then sacrifices half the creatures they control. Round up each time. So this is like Pox. Sure. I don't think it's constructed playable. Don't think it's limited playable. I think it's two-headed giant playable, guys, though. You should definitely play this in your two-headed giant games. Because if you like drawing the game and you don't do it very often, this is the best way to do this. So, yeah, moving on. Play it in two-headed giant, guys. Do it. Ooh, I forgot about you. Satyr Enchanter, and I like this art style as well. This kind of, I don't know what the word is to describe this kind of art. But it's very nice anyway. 1 a green and a white. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, draw a card. I want Enchantress back. Give it back. My first draft was in Born of the Gods, Battle of the Gods, something like that. In that kind of block, so I really love enchantment focus cards, and I want enchantments to be a thing again. Liliana's Contract. Okay, moving on. I don't think there's any use of that Satyr, to be honest. But maybe I'm wrong on that one. Target creature gets +3/+3 until the end of the turn. All creatures able to block it this turn do so. Yeah, that's probably a limited bomb right there. If you got the board state to kill them, but you can't quite push through, that'll do it for you. And another Izareth. Alright. I suspect that we'll be getting close to dust territory pretty soon. I'm surprised we're not already there, honestly.
Let's see if you're worthy.
Vivian Reed, 3 and 2 green for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. Tick up 1, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or a land from among them, put it in your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. -3 is somewhat her way of protecting herself. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. So it's kind of like Vraska's -3, only not as good. And her -8 is you get an emblem with creature to control, get +2/+2, have vigilance, trample, and indestructible. So this needs to go into a very creature-focused deck. This is kind of the card that you would build around, because I think you need the +1 and the -8 to be relevant in order for this to be completely playable. I don't think you can play it for just one ability here at all. Because, like, if you want to play it for the -3, just play Vraska and splash black. I honestly think that would be much better. And her +1 to create tokens is probably a lot easier, because that +1 on Vivian is prone to whiffing as well. So, you know, really does need, like, a heavy creature land count and things like that to make that +1 really matter. I don't know. She's not the most broken planeswalker in the world. I like her, but she'll probably win you the games. You'll probably go like full 6-0 or whatever it is in draft with her. Another demon, sure. Keep on going. Inferno Hellion. Each end step, if it was a tactile block, shuffle it in. Yeah, sure. It's probably going to die with 3 toughness, but there you go. Another Scepter. Lava Axe. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Is slow burn a thing now? Because we got Sovereign's Bite as well. 1 and a black sorcery. Target player loses 3 and you gain 3. So that's kind of like Arms of the Vein from Shadows. Yeah, maybe red-black burn is now somewhat a thing. Not tier 1, but tier 3 maybe. Might try it out. Patient Rebuilding. Okay, moving along. Oh, it's also Thopter Lady as well. I think Thopters are coming back a little bit. They're probably going to die off as soon as Kaladesh goes, but yeah. Core 19 just seems to be like a set that's just really built for making the most of Kaladesh before it rotates out. That's my personal opinion anyway. Mirror Image. 2 and a blue for a 0/0. You may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature you control. Might see some play. I don't know. It doesn't sacrifice itself like a lot of illusions do, which is good as well. So there's really no downside to it copying anything. But you can't copy your opponent's things, which is a downside. Another Mentor of the Meek. Very nice. Leonin Vanguard. Beginning of combat on your turn, if you control 3 or more creatures, it gets +1/+1 and you gain 1 life. Alright. It's a cat life gain deck in the future, I think. Gutter Snipe as well. Very instant or sorcery based. I love the I think it was called like Bounce and Burn or something like that in one of the Jewels of the Planeswalkers games, and yeah, use Gutter Snipe. It was pretty fun. I liked it. It was definitely not the most powerful deck in that game, but it was a lot of fun all the same. Another Trash Master, pretty cool. Other than that, let's move along. 47 packs left to go, Jesus Christ. I'm gonna have to speed this up. Sorry about that, guys, that's me. Alpine Moon, completely unplayable in Standard, but it's pretty much just a hate card for modern Tron, in a nutshell. So, yeah, I don't think there's any playability in this card whatsoever in Standard. So it's a shame. It's one of the worst cards you could get out of a pack, honestly. Catalyst Elemental can add some mana down the lights. Red Ramp in its own way. Rare Wildcard, lovely. Haven't seen many wildcards in the packs themselves, actually, so what are we up to now on wildcards? I'll have to check in a second. Crucible of Worlds, very nice. We are up to 14 rares and 7 mythic rares. Okay. I'm trying to remember how many wildcards I had last 90 pack opening. Maybe you guys can go check that out and compare it. Another Demon of Catastrophes. It's asking me to build around that card right now. Damn, son. Elvish Rejuvenator. It's like bad Wood Elves. Other than that, another Izareth. Goddamn. Give me some good cards. I haven't seen any like Planeswalkers whatsoever. I'm going to have to spend all of my wild cards on that. Damn. Runic Armasaur, 1 and 2 green for a 2/5, decent blocker. Anything else is it good at? Whenever an opponent activates an ability of a creature or land that isn't a mana ability, you may draw a card. Sideboard tech at best. I don't even think it's good enough for that. I'm not sure there's much that you'd really want to bring this in. Like, you could say, oh, I'll bring it in against Scarab God so he can't activate his ability, but Scarab God decks are running plenty of removal to deal with this Armasaur, so it's just not going to see any play. We have Mythic Wildcard, very nice, moving along. Tectonic Rift. Oh, there's more land destruction. Oh, God. Yes. Love it. Ajani's Pridemate. I think you might be the first one I've seen, which is really weird for an uncommon. 2 mana, 1 and a white for a 2/2. Whenever you gain life, you put a counter on Ajani's Pridemate. So, this is a modern playable card, specifically for Soul Sisters. We've got kind of a Soul Sister in the Chrome Mare or whatever it was, the one that we showed before when you name white. We've kind of got that, but yeah, you need more of this stuff. There's like Ajani's Welcome as well, that gains 1 life each upkeep. So Ajani's Pridemate is definitely. It's going to see some play in Standard. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a fair bit of this. Would it be tier 1? Probably not. Infernal Reckoning, dead card. Volcanic Dragon. It's a fine dragon, I suppose. He's not overwhelming in any meaningful way. Thorn Lieutenant. 1 and a green for a 2/3. When it becomes the target of a spell or an ability an opponent controls, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. So it's a decent-bodied elf that pumps itself up for a decent sink in the future. Probably good in Limited. I don't think it's like a first pick if you find it, but, you know. Yeah, if you could target this yourself to create that 1/1 elf, this would be broken. I could figure out a fair few ways to be able to target Thorn Lieutenant many times without killing it. So, yeah, it's just a shame that it doesn't really demand an answer is the thing. So it's not going to see that first ability triggering so much. But there you go. Mirror image, Rabid Bites getting a reprint, but no new artwork. Maybe it didn't need new artwork. I don't know. I kind of don't like this one, but there you go. I like the card, just don't like the artwork. Druid of Horns, 3 and a green, 2/3. Whenever you cast an aura spell that targets Druid of Horns, create a green beast. There is a mono green auras kind of synergy theme, isn't there, in this set? I've noticed. Another Scepter, very nice. It's one wild card I don't have to use. Nothing of note here, except for some very playable limited cards. Spirit Man. 1 and a white, 2 mana for a 2/1 flyer. Sacrifice it, exile all cards from target player's graveyard. So it's a one-sided exile. This could see a fair bit of play, actually. Against Godpharaoh gift decks, it will shut you down. You can play it in decks where your graveyard matters as well, because using things like Silent Gravestone might negatively impact yourself. So being able to use a one-sided exile is very, very useful. Other than that, though, nothing of note here. Nothing of note here, really. Nope. Spit Flame. This is the Dragon Tribal removal spell. 3 mana, 2 and a red for an instant speed, deals 4 damage to target creature. That is reasonable, I would say. Especially when you consider that whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 red. If you do, replace it, take it from the graveyard to your hand. So it's recurring removal. I really do like this card. I don't know if it's overpowered at all. Like, to trigger that second ability, there aren't that many cheap dragons. There's Dragon Egg, which you could get back. So it'd be like 3 mana to get Spit Flame back into your hand and have an O2 in play. So that's fine, I guess. You could probably see some use out of that, and it hits plenty of things in the format, so that's going to remove most of the things that you want to remove other than, like, gods and things like that. It's pretty cool. I like it. Nothing of note here other than the rare, which is another Dead Prodigious Growth. Almost got my playset. Colossal Majesty, I like this card as well. 2 and a green, enchantment, and beginning of your upkeep, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you get to draw a card. So it's green's card draw engine. I like it. A lot of green cards do already have that power 4 or greater, especially Ronas. And if you're playing a green deck, Ronas is likely to be in it. And he's very hard to deal with. Another Fraying Omnipotence. Other than that, let's move along. Gaspar Twins. Is this a reprint? 7 mana for a 7/7 can block an additional creature each combat. It's pretty great in limited, not very in constructed. Sun Cleanser. Ah, yes, this is the card that everybody wished existed before Kaladesh was rotating out. 2 mana, 1 and a white for a 1/4. When it enters the battlefield, you get to choose one of these options. You could either remove all counters from target creature. It can't have counters on it for as long as Sun Cleanser remains on the battlefield, so it's a kill spell for Walking Ballista as well. Is there anything else that it really just destroys? It's only creatures, so you can't take loyalty counters off of things. You can't take artifact charge counters off. Yeah, I don't think there's much else that it can hit, but it's the second ability that people really like this card for, or would have liked this card for. Target opponent loses all counters. That player can't get counters for as long as Sun Cleanser remains on the battlefield. So you remove all energy. It's the first card that interacts with energy, which is long overdue, especially since it's a couple of months now until energy won't even be a thing in Standard anymore. Very unplayable, though, I think. He's sideboard card at best, and I don't think energy sees too much play either, so yeah. That's fallen out of favour quite largely. It's a late overdue sideboard tech. There's a Johnny's Welcome. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield and you control, you gain 1 life. So it's actually not the upkeep that I thought it was. This is kind of like the Soul Sister on an enchantment. It's pretty great. I like it. And that's our 4th Demon of Catastrophes. Alright. Maybe we'll find out what happens when we hit our 5th copy. I've noticed we've not hit 5th copies of anything yet as well. That's nice. Have they actually set 5th copies to show up a lot less often? Something that I really wanted them to do, but the vault was always a problem with that. I'm really glad that they're doing that, though. We actually might get a better card pool for doing that. Camptosaurus is a 5-mana 10/10. It's very hard to cast, though, so don't let this overwhelming amount of power and toughness fool you into thinking this is an overpowered card. It's pretty great in mono green. I'm certainly going to be playing it, but it's not going to see play in anything except for mono green, which doesn't see much play in standard, so, you know. There you have it. Double casts. I think that's our third one. Inspired Charge has got another reprint. I like the art on that one. It's kind of cool. Chaos Wand. I love Chaos. First of this particular wand, though. 3 mana for an artifact. Pay 4 and tap it. Target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then put the exile cards that weren't cast this way on the bottom of that library in a random order. I'd be interested to put this in the sideboard against control, just for the lulz, right? You put Chaos Wand down, right? So whenever they go to counter your spell, you just pay 4 and tap it. You're likely to either hit a card draw spell or an exile spell. I think that'd be kind of funny. You could even, if you think they're playing against Approach, you could hit their Approach and put it right back in their deck, and then do it again and hit their Approach and win the game. Chaos! Woo! We've got to try that for the memes at some point. I really do think we do. Alright. Metamorphic Alteration. 1 and a blue. Enchant creature. As Metamorphic Alteration enters the battlefield, choose a creature. That creature becomes the target copy of chosen creature. So, we can choose any creature. It's not just our own. We can enchant any creature, not just our own. So, we could, in a roundabout way, use this as a removal spell if there's a legendary on the field. We could legend rule something. Sure, I guess. I don't know. Meh, I guess is the answer to that one. I guess Illusion Tribal is a thing. That can go into one of the meme decks that I've got planned as well. Graveyard Marshal, 2 black, 3/2. Is this the reason why people think zombies is going to really be a thing? Other than the fact that they've got plenty of zombie lords now. Do need to make a zombie deck. Pay 2 and a black, exile a creature card from your graveyard, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. So for 3 mana you get a 2/2. Sure. It's recurring, it's a mana sink. I like it. It's good in limited as well, I suppose. Nothing too crazy here. Dragon's Horde. This is a strictly better manalith. Gets better as well if you have dragons in your deck. When it enters the battlefield, under your control. When a dragon, enters under your control. Put a gold counter on it. You can remove a gold counter to draw a card. Yeah, again, if you can influence the counters on that, you could do some fun stuff, but you probably don't want to try break this card. It's not that good. It's not good and worthy of breaking, unfortunately. But I like it. It's fun. If you're playing a dragon deck, it's going to see a little bit of play, I would have thought. Just as some nice ramp. Omniscience! Oh yeah! 7 and 3 blue. Don't let that price fool you, because you can get it out cheaper than that. You can do a lot of things to get this out. Ah, good times. I haven't seen any Apex of Powers, actually. They're like the only card I wanted from this set, specifically, and I haven't seen any. I'm so sad. You may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana costs. Everything is free. If anyone is a Duels player, or a Magic Duels player, an ex-Magic Duels player, the what's her face? Tamiyo's Ultimate. That's basically Omniscience. So yeah, I've broken it before. I will break it again. Let's go. A 5th copy of Demon of Catastrophes. I see. They're not greying out dusted cards anymore. That's why I haven't seen any stuff here, but they should give me an extra tick towards my wild card, I think. That's what they should do. If I hit like the rare wild card, and if I hit an uncommon dust, add to that and wild card me. Hey wizards, hire me. Suspicious Bookcase, Fountain of Renewal, 1 mana artifact to begin your keep your game 1 life. Ajani's Pride Mare, eat your heart out. Other than that, Shin of Wishes. Reclamation Sage, yay, you're back. I like you. Alpine Moon, dead card. How many wild cards are we up to now? 18 rares, 8 mythic rares. That seems abysmally low. Have I just gotten unlucky? I might have. I might have gotten very unlucky with this opening, unfortunately. Other than that, let's see. Remorseful Cleric, seen you before. Let's keep going. Down to 20 packs. Almost done with this particular video. It has run on long enough. Patient Rebuilding. Seeing all of the same ones again. The first Millstone. 2 mana to pay 2 and tap it. Target player puts the top 2 cards of the library into their graveyard. Could be a win condition. Very slow, mind you, but there are ways to break this card, I think, other than just playing it in mill in general. Fraying Omnipotence, another copy of that. Nothing too crazy here. Rare wildcard, very nice. Glad to see that. Let's see. Mythic wildcard. Ask and ye shall be delivered. Surge Mare is one of the horses. Is this one playable? Can't be blocked by green creatures. Probably not. It's a 0/5. Whenever Surge Mare deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So it needs to have power before you can do that. So you have to pay the 2 to make it loot for you. Unless you lord it up somehow with Horse Tribal. Chaos Wand, yay. Come on, I need my Apex of Powers. I know they're mythic and all, but come on. Give me them. Hand them over. Scape Shift. Did want to see that card. It's very nice. Great reprint for paper as well. 4 mana, 2 and 2 green. Sacrifice any number of lands. Search your library for up to that many land cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. So this card, with the very unplayable Multani, is a great way to double his power and toughness, just saying. Because he has power and toughness equal to lands in graveyards and on the field. So if you scape shift your entire field for the same amount of lands, you will double his power, which will probably turn him into about a 20/20. Would be my guess at some point in the future. I'll be trying that all the same. I already do have a Multani deck, I just haven't actually showcased it on the channel yet. Magistrate's Scepter, glad to see that's at least been handed out, because I do want to play a set of those. I don't know if I'm going to use them all, but it'd be nice to have them. Speaking of things I don't want to play a set of, Izarath the Awakener was not one of them. Give me that rare wild card, thank you. You gain 1 life. Target creature gains -X. -X, where X is the amount of life gain this turn. Yeah. Oh, that card's creepy. That art. I think that's how most artists depict nightmares, actually. Alpine Moon, unplayable. It's like a little devil sat on your chest that stops you from moving. It's really creepy. Nothing to see in that last pack. Nothing to see in this one by the looks of it. Nope. Yeah, we're starting to hit all of the same cards now. Patient Rebuilding. Yeah, I really feel it's been, it seems to have been stingy with, like, all of the Planeswalkers. I've gotten 1 out of 90 packs. And I actually need a full playset of Lilianas for a deck I've planned. Windreader Sphinx, this looks unplayable. 5 and 2 blue, starting off unplayable for a 3/7, which is fine. As flying, whenever a creature with flying attacks, you may draw a card. Sure. Unplayable. Wildcard me up, baby. Dark Dweller Oracle, 2 mana, 1 and a red for a 2/2. Sacrifice, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. So it's not cast, it's play. Interesting. Has upsides and downsides. Don't see it seeing much play though, honestly. It's card advantage in a weird roundabout fashion, I suppose, though. Rare wildcard, nice. Nothing to see here. Psy Master Thopterist, very good for the Thopter deck that will be rotating out soon. 2 and a blue for a 1/4. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. You can sacrifice 2 artifacts to draw a card. Not too terrible, not too broken either. Nothing to see here. Hey, Omniscience. Nice. I think you only want like 2 to 3 Omniscience if you're going to play in a deck. If you're playing it in a deck, though, you're building the crap around it. Detection Tower. I have no idea what this card is. It's a land. It's a colourless land. You can pay 1 and tap it until the end of your turn. Your opponents and creatures your opponents control with hexproof can be the target of spells as though they didn't have hexproof. Nah, unplayable. 2 more packs. Rupture Spires. Dark Dweller Oracle. Final pack. Psychic Symbiont. Cool in limited. Not much elsewhere. And a Liliana's Contract to end it off. Well, after all of that, we didn't get any Apex of Powers, which I really wanted. Didn't get any Lilianas, which is something that I really wanted. As well as, to be honest, I wanted a lot of the Planeswalkers. I didn't really get them. I think I got very unlucky, with my pack openings. But we ended up with 10 Mythic Rares and 23 Rares, 168 Uncommons, and 167 normal Commons. As you can tell, those top 2 right there don't ever seem to be used at all. Like, at most, I have maybe 1 common missing from the playset that I need, so yeah, I really wish we could do something with those. A lot of people say trading up is a thing, but through their design choices of not wanting to stonewall you if you accidentally do the wrong thing, you know, if you convert 5 uncommons into a rare and then you need your uncommons and you can't use them, that kind of horrible feeling is something they want to avoid. So I don't know. I wish there was more of a use for these common and uncommons though, or just hand them out less and hand out rares and mythics more, because rares are by far the more important things. Like 23 rares is a tier 1 deck in a nutshell. If I didn't already have plenty of rares, I would only be able to make 1 tier 1 deck with the amount of stuff I've got here. But it's been fun opening these packs for you, guys. I hope you guys have also enjoyed it, and hopefully you've stuck around this long. If you have, like, subscribe for more pack openings in the future when the next set comes out, which is the Return to the Return to the Return of Ravnica. We'll be doing another pack opening for that. Don't know if the wipe will come before or after then. I have a feeling, a sneaky feeling, and this is going off just my own feelings. There's no actual information based off of this, but I think that the wipe will come when the rotation happens. And if that's the case, then I'll have a lot of excess gems ready to go. So it's going to be an interesting day anyway. So we shall see. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.